On one hand, you have people saying that they vibe code an entire production ready app in a matter of hours. And on the other hand, you have the critics who say that this is all just not true. You can only use it for prototyping and basically it doesn't speed you up. So who's right? And what does it actually take to build a production ready app? This is the question that I'm here to answer with a very specific example, because I have built an app that is used by some real users. This is the third app that I've built with AI, and this one I think turned out pretty good. I'm quite happy with it, which is why I thought to record a quick video and shed some light on topics like what the tech stack is, what the components are, and maybe some of the challenges and my learnings. Jumping to the end, too long didn't read. It is more effort than advertised, so for me it took me 7 days. But on the other hand, just the sheer amount of features that I could build is crazy, and there's really never been a better time to build. As the people from Y Combinator say, this is the golden age of building, and I really believe that, and maybe I can motivate you or inspire you to just sit down and ship more. What I want to cover is how SugarCharts was born, just a bit of insight about the project, what the product actually does, because you need some context. Then I will show you the map of the features, a timeline, how I've spent these 7 days, really the tools, all the tools that I've used, and the tech stack, every single tool I listed. Then we will do the cool part, the demo, and I will have a little summary with the learnings. So first, how was SugarCharts born? What are continuous glucose monitors? Maybe that's even a better point to start. So around 2 years ago, I discovered continuous glucose monitors, which are these little sensors that go under your skin, and they send real-time blood sugar data to your app, to your smartphone. And this is really cool, because it's basically having a real-time API of your body. So you eat something and you see how your body reacts to it, how much glucose is on your bloodstream, which in turn leads to insulin in your body. And this is one of the major causes of the 4 causes of death. You can basically fine tune your diet, figure out exactly what works for you and what not. I got super into this topic, very nerdy. I geeked out and read everything, and then we had 20 patients who went through our program to understand their metabolism, but we did it all not offline, because we did it with Notion, but we didn't have an app for it. What I forgot to mention is that why would you need an app? So why is the official app not good enough that the provider, the sensor provider, gives you? It's because they just show you a number. So they just show you a chart. You have no idea what those numbers mean. You cannot evaluate it. So for a mogul, for a regular person like you and me, you really need help to evaluate those charts, and also to have some methodology of how to figure out things. So this is what I have built. Good. Now that we have the context, let's zoom out and let me show you all the features that I've built. So this is what is involved in SugarCharts, and yeah, probably one of the things I've learned, a good thing to mention here, is that you should jump in straight into the middle. So solve the hardest problem of the project, and then you will figure out the rest around it. And the hardest problem here was processing the images, the food pictures, because the workflow is that patients take pictures of their food, of their meals. They upload it to us. We extract from these images the timestamp, so when that meal was consumed, and we pair it with glucose data from the provider. So there's a third-party API of this sensor that gives us the glucose data. So there were actually 2 patients that were waiting for 2 years for our evaluation. These were the last 2 patients. And I figured, okay, it's time to do it. And they had this old folder that they uploaded back then of all their meal pictures. They did a really good job. So this was the first step. are those pictures still usable? Because we used to do this manually. Can I automate this? And then can I pair it with glucose data? So can I fetch the glucose data and pair these? I already had some a little part of fetching this glucose data back then, just to validate the prototype, but that's as far as I got 2 years ago. So this is the first thing that I figured out. And then there's a bunch of things around it. Doctors can write notes, evaluations. There is authentication for doctors and for patients. There's the dashboard, day view, meal view, and so on. You will see this in the demo. So many moving parts. Good. Looking at the timeline. So first day, as I said, jump right into the middle, figure out the images. We had to process a folder full of images, transform the Apple specific formats into JPEGs, read the EXIF data, which contains the timestamps, create thumbnails, serve the images on the server. So it was a bit more than expected. By the way, if you're a beginner or non-techie, not that technical, you can use a service for this. So for many things, I hope I won't forget to mention it, you can use services instead of doing it your own, which cost money, but then they should be plug and play and way easier. But I didn't want to spend money, so I did this manually. Then the second day, I went in to develop the glucose data module. So this is all the backend part with some basic UI. Already communicating with the servers, fetching, transforming, storing the data, looking at timestamps was a bit more tricky, and then also making a patient login as fast as possible. I just wanted to show a food picture and a glucose chart as ugly. It didn't matter if it was ugly, just make it work. So this is one of the concepts of engineering that I really like. Make it work, make it right, make it fast. Good. Then third day, another thing that I usually like to do, or always like to do, is to set up continuous integration, continuous deployment. So even if it takes a bit longer, that every push to my Git repository should go live. So I really want to not have this issue of having a big deploy at the end. I always want to have something on my server so that I can test every single step and can also share the project early. So again, this is another step where if you're not that technical, you can speed this up by connecting to a tool like what are those tools called? Yeah, Supabase for the backend. You have all the stuff from Vercel for hosting. I don't even know all of these, or they don't jump to my mind. I do it myself because it doesn't cost me money like this. I need to invest one day, but then I can host everything myself, and it doesn't cost any extra dollar for extra projects. And this being a hobby project, it was better like this. So I set up continuous integration, bought the domain, set up all the infrastructure, Nginx, SSL, PostgreSQL, and yeah, it worked. It took a bit longer than I would have wanted to. I think I can reduce this to half a day, but in the end, wiring up the domain and everything, it was a bit more work. Then day 4 and 5, adding or making the UI actually look better and adding some extra features around it, which I will show shortly. And day 6, moving on to the landing page, putting on some packaging, branding, lots of bug fixes, copy, and day 7, wrapping it up, more bug fixes, and wrapping up loose ends. What you see here is, I'm quite sure nobody mentions this for production-ready apps. Yeah, you just do it in hours. There is so much bug fixing involved. Even the code written by AI has many bugs. It's not possible to just ship something in hours. There is so much fine-tuning. You will see when you want to really push it out, little things will be bothering you. So just wrapping up loose ends takes a couple of days, I would say. Good. Then before the demo, let me show you the tools involved. So these are all the tools that I've used. I used Cloud Code for coding. It's like, I think the way I like to put it is pair programming. So I really discuss features with Cloud Code and then Cloud implements it. ImageMagick for image processing. This is with an asterisk because you could use just an image service for this, which does resizing, creating the thumbnails and everything. I did it myself for cost purposes. Amazon SES, Simple Email Service for sending out mails. This took again a bit longer than expected because I'm setting it up for the first time, never did it before, but this is the most cost-effective solution. So for me, it was worth it. Then I used ChatGPT. I used ChatGPT for everything that I didn't use Claude Code for, and I got limited every day like 3 or 4 times by Claude Code. I was doing this dance where I was pushing features, then Claude Code was limiting me. I was going for a walk with my dog, coming back, continuing to work, but that also meant that when I wanted to continue ideating, I couldn't use my Claude subscription. So I was using ChatGPT for this, and for example, also with infrastructure, it was great just figuring out the CI/CD, continuous integration part, setting up the server, PostgreSQL, like little commands, cheat sheets. I use ChatGPT. Figma for logo and for this presentation, you will see I got super lucky actually with the logo because it almost one-shot the logo, two-shot it, but yeah, you will see because I have the screenshot of the thread. Then Cloudflare for buying the domain because it's way cheaper than my previous provider, Gandhi. Name servers and Protect for protection against DDoS and an extra layer of security. I definitely recommend setting up something like Cloudflare so that you don't get sniped by hackers. Then behind the scenes, it's a web app running on Phoenix Framework, which is an Elixir app, not that common of a choice. But what is cool is here you can pick whatever you want. Why I definitely wanted to mention it, Phoenix is not a mainstream choice. There is not that much code available online. And Claude Code is still really good at writing Phoenix code. So you don't have to go with the most mainstream TypeScript framework if you don't want to, although I think that is still a good advice to pick that. It's probably better. I don't know. Or actually I do know because I also have a remix project. It's a bit better with TypeScript, but Phoenix is also good enough, and it's gotten really good lately. Then for the database, PostgreSQL, again, here you could use a service like Supabase instead of setting up your own. Self-hosted because that's what I chose. Reverse proxy Nginx, you don't even need this if you go for a hosting provider where you just click. Let's Encrypt for SSL, TLS certificate so that you have HTTPS. You also don't need this. And GitHub for versioning, which is really important. You do need this if you use Cloud Code. I've seen a lot of people who get started with coding that they forget about versioning, and then yeah, this is like a save game where you can save every checkpoint while you build. All right, it's time for the demo. Let's go. So here you can see the doctor's login. So the doctor can log in and the patient can log in as well. And as you can remember, the point is that the patient uploads pictures of their meals, and they have a sensor. They share their sensor data with us, with the medical practice, and the doctor evaluates the glucose charts together with the meal pictures. So this is the workflow. This is the patient management, sync patients, and here's a long list of patients. I've pre-filtered it so that we don't see all the other patients here. If you click on a patient, then you see this is my actual profile on live on production, and this is a dashboard. You can filter by periods here to see different period. This is the how the doctor would do it. They would look at these charts, maybe the week view. Here I had to do some tricks so that it doesn't have that many spikes. So use some algorithm to make it a bit smoother. Also for the 2-week view. And yeah, let's go back to day view, and here you can already see the meals that I have logged. This was delicious, the cordon bleu. All right, then if we go back to the 3-day view, and you can see that this has been 24th of August. That's yesterday. I didn't sync my my glucose yet. Let's see if this works. Syncing glucose to fetch my latest data. I actually wear a sensor right now, so you should see my real values I'm having. So I am here 12:49. It's like 20 minutes ago. That's good. And yeah, these are my glucose levels. Today I didn't eat anything yet. If you look at the meals, then you can see a breakdown by days, and the doctor would go like, okay, let's go for this day. What did they eat? Yeah, this is this was a good Saturday. You see plenty of spikes, so I ate here some bread and also some jam, and I spiked until up to 8. Another spike from grapes, not my usual meal. Beer, also small spike, and then burger, multiple spikes. If you go into just the beer, let's say, you can see the reaction here. This is the single meal view. You can also go back and forth with the keyboard. This was very important for me because keyboard navigation, or making it quick to navigate for doctors, is crucial. They don't have time and they need to be able to just go very quickly. You can go back to the view the full day. And also for days, you can navigate for another day. This was Friday. This was a bit better. Here, this was actually basketball, because sports also influences your glucose levels. I forgot to make a screenshot of that, or I usually, just take a picture so that I remember. And if you go further back, this looks more like a normal day with some salad at lunch and veggies, another normal day, and so on. Then another cool thing is, if the doctor then they review it, they press N, they write this was a good day, nice and flat, save the note, and then the note turns up here. They can edit and delete it, and they can also comment on a meal level, like here, N small spike after drinking a beer. Good. So after the doctor reviewed the meals and the days, they go back, view full day, view the whole profile. These are all the meals that I had. And then they create an evaluation. So they evaluate actually that period. And here you can see that the notes that the doctor took for that period show up, so that it's easier to evaluate, that they remember, and they will also show up for the patients. And they say, summary, dear Adam, you should eat less carbs. An ideal day. And look at August 22, and so on and so forth. And the cool part is that there is Markdown here, so it's a Markdown formatting. You can save the draft, and there's also autosave. Look, it autosaved it now, last autosave 0 seconds ago, and you can hit publish as a doctor. So I already have 3 evaluations here, and this is actually a real one. I will show you in another view. All right, so this is the doctor's login. Then as a patient, if you log in, then you see a similar view, but simpler one. So these are the meals that I've logged, and this is the evaluation. Let's read the evaluation. Okay, and this is the evaluation that was public. The other ones were not public. That's why you see, or the other one, that's why you see only one. Then for the demo, I also have it on my phone. Let me quickly upload a food pic. So this was for yesterday. I just uploaded the croissant. Here maybe you can see it. I upload from my photo library my dinner as well, and my snack. All right, so these are the 2 images. Uploading, boom, 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 progress indicator. And you can see there's 2 images that I uploaded. And here, if I click sugar charts, I should see 2 more meals, which is some fish that I had for dinner, and also the watermelon. So if I go in now, you can see all my 3 meals, and it's pretty cool. Good. This was the demo. What I also wanted to show you, I promised you the logo, but let me before that just show you what is behind the scenes. So here you can see one thing that I forgot to mention: 164 tests. So I usually push Claude Code to write unit tests and integration tests. I've found that it helps. It makes Claude make less mistakes. Then if you type status, then you will see that all that I have is 4 files for instructions, and I stopped using extensive PRDs. And if you want me to show you what these documents are, I don't have time right now to go into the in depth what it is, but ClaudeMD tells basically what it is: the app's name, sugar charts, not sugar charts, the problem, the solution, business model, MVP, and so on. And at the end, I link the other files: agents, which is technical guidance, how to implement it. This was written by the Phoenix framework authors, which is super nice that they did this. Some engineering guidelines. This is my take on how I like to code with Claude, and the domain creation rule, because I like to work with domain-driven design and how Claude should interpret that. Here on the left, you can basically see agents, Claude, and also my production setup. Yeah, that is not linked, that I just used it for something else. And here in specs, you can see the files I created. And for tasks, this is the only PRD. So back in the days, a couple of months ago, I used to create extensive PRDs for every single feature, and that's how I work. Now I don't need to do that anymore. We just start talking with Claude. I switch back and forth between plan mode and auto accept, and yeah, it just works. But here, this was a major feature I wanted to completely redo. This was the image refactoring, to redo how we serve images, and that's why I wrote a document like this. Of course, together with Claude, I wrote this. All right, now to the logo. To the logo. So this was my conversation with ChatGPT. I gave it a screenshot of my landing page back then, and I wrote, please generate minimalistic logo. My little startup should look great as a favicon too, so that it's also, when it's small, it looks great, as minimalistic as possible, because if not, it goes crazy. But it should still have a soul. Okay, it's a bit weird every time I describe this, but yeah, it almost worked. So this was the first turn, and then I was like, why is a cube the logo? Then it said, yeah, because sugar cube and so on. And like, okay, no, forget that logo. First, I wanted to work on some colors, gave me some colors. Then I was like, okay, I got it. I have the logo concept. I got it figured out. A square, which is a stylized version of a glucose chart. Top half candy pink, bottom half blue. Black minimalist line that looks like the glucose chart. Black line should look like an S. What do you think? Like, yeah, wow, killer concept, you're a genius, as usual. Don't believe the LLMs. But then I asked, can you design it for me? And it basically did. And it did. And here, this is the version that was designed. Let me switch here. This is the version designed by ChatGPT. I saved the image, but this was in JPEG format, so it was not yet in vector, and it was not scalable. So that's why I went on YouTube, a tutorial how to draw curves. You can see here I learned to draw a curve, and then I actually colored it, and I extracted these colors as well. So I did all of this with Figma. I had no idea how to do these curves, but I'm quite happy how it turned out. And I even added a little animation here that is pretty nice. All right, so this was the demo and this was the logo. What else do we have? Yeah, wrapping things up, my learnings. So the biggest learning is that I don't need to write extensive PRDs anymore. So instead, I'm having a conversation with Claude, switching back and forth, auto accept and plan mode. This is really, really cool. Couple of things that went wrong. Often I still end up in endless loops, like the web manifest a simple thing so that it looks good as a progressive web app. It just couldn't get it done, and I had to do it myself after wasting half an hour. It would have been way faster if I just debug it myself. Then for tests, sometimes mocking things, not mocking things, different topic. UI adjustments, sometimes it just works, sometimes it takes forever. So sometimes you just say, can you remove this or move that? Can you make it responsive? It's horrible and you lose lots of time, but sometimes it works. State, one of the hardest things to get right. I think this deserves a separate video of if you have multiple components, who holds the state, what is gets passed around. If you work with React or with any component-driven framework, then you know that this is hard, ended in some super weird things, so you really have to check here what Cloud Code gives you. Security. So one user could see the pictures of another user. I was aware of this, and it was not a biggie, but I still think it's quite scary if you don't know what you're doing, especially if it's with sensitive data. You should be careful. Yes, you can prompt it like do a security audit and like really try to think like a product manager. Should be good enough maybe, but I would still be very concerned and maybe show it to someone to double check that something is not leaking, like a developer friend of yours who can then check. Then two overcomplicating points, like I had to push hard multiple times to not go for the hybrid approach. Like for pictures, we have the original pictures and the resized ones, and it was looking for the resized ones, but if not, then do a fallback. So this is just added complexity, and having then multiple sources for pictures has led to some weird bugs. Thankfully, I caught this. So often at times to have this hybrid approach, and it's very, very proud to say that it's this hybrid approach. And the other overcomplicating part is making things backwards compatible. That drives me nuts. Like I keep saying that, hey, this app is not even live. We just refactor, and then it says, okay, let's do it backwards compatible so that it works with the previous 5 versions. And that's, again, more code, more complex things, not cool. And last but not least, the build trap. So it is easy to get nerd snapped and just do more and more features. It happened also with me here. Maybe I wouldn't have needed 1 or 2 features, but it's just so easy to add, and then the code base grows. So you have to be careful and mindful about this. What went right? Yeah, it's basically everything else went right because it just worked. And in 1 week, I'm quite impressed of all the features that I could ship. Pretty cool. So all in all, this list is longer, but actually this is the most important point. It had one-shotted entire modules, so especially what is on the backend, image processing scripts, that kind of stuff, it just worked out of the box. Sometimes if I could split it up nicely, then we went in small steps, it worked very, very nicely. And the functional adjustments also worked out well, like adjust the script. By functional, I mean in the backend mostly, like where to put images or how it should resize, that kind of stuff worked. This kind of adjustments work. The UI adjustments are a bit harder. And then pretty good UIs. So when it nailed it, and often I wasn't that creative, and it just gave me a good solution. Yeah, where I will go with this is a good question. So many things that I could build, but I want to focus on something else actually. It is now live, it is out there, some patients are using it. They have their evaluation. Let's see. If you're interested in a glucose review, maybe maybe we can get that done. But yeah, this was more of a proof of concept. I wanted to build something that is production ready to see how long it takes, and I hope that I could help with shedding some light on that, and maybe I could also motivate you to sit down and start building, because it's pretty cool what you can do. Thanks and happy building.